I had to do it. I finally got a solid state drive for my Hackintosh desktop here, and you can see it's SATA 3 because it's I never know what is that 6 gigabits or 6 gigabytes, but yeah, it's SATA 3 drive. Um, and of course it supports trim and smart, and it's 120 gigabytes. It's interesting. I've never seen this brand before, but it was a very good deal I found on eBay. I think it was maybe $35 at the most for 120 gigabyte SATA 3 SSD. So, I mean, obviously, quality is a factor to consider when buying hard drives or use solid state drives. But I am not really trying to put that much money into this computer, so this drive suited my purposes. So, and you can see in the BIOS, it recognizes the drive. I actually had to purchase this drive because my primary hard disk drive failed, and I don't actually believe it was a platter failure. I think it was a board failure, and I was looking for boards online, and it was just ridiculous. The boards cost more than buying a new hard drive itself. So I just said, forget that. I'm just going to buy a solid state drive. And you can see there's a marked improvement in the boot times if you've kept up with my other videos. It's already up and running in less than a minute, basically. Let me just close this. But yeah, so what is the current setup of this computer? Let me just clean up my icons here. So right now there's actually 3 hard drives in this computer. There's my original 160 gigabyte Mac store. There is a 60 gigabyte Fujitsu laptop hard drive, and then there's the 120 gigabyte SSD by Glowway. And unfortunately, the 2 hard disk drives are SATA 1 only, so I'll show you in the About This Mac. So let's just take a look. I've kept up with the Mac OS Sierra updates, so I'm still running the latest version. As you can see, I've actually switched my SM BIOS from a Mac Pro 5.1 to the iMac 14, 2 SM BIOS. It seems to be working fairly well for me. And you look in the storage, you have my hard drive, and I have a software RAID running between the 2 hard disk drives. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's look at the system report. So again, still the same specs. Let's just go to the SATA section. So the first is showing my hard drive. And you can see, unfortunately, it only supports 3 gigabit. And that's because this desktop computer, the SATA ports on it are only SATA 2. So that's unfortunately what I have to deal with. Still, it's much faster than it was when I was running off of a hard disk drive. And if we scroll down, actually you don't even have to scroll, you can see trim is supported, so that's all working. You know, so that's all good. There's a Mac store that was originally in here, 160 gigabyte. Actually, let me click up here. So now you can see the port. See, unfortunately, the negotiated link speed, because the drive itself is SATA 1 port, it's only 1.5 gigabits. So even though the computer's port is SATA 2, the drive is SATA 1, so it gets knocked down to the lowest value. And that's the same with the Fujitsu. So it's 1.5 gigabit, 60 gigabyte Fujitsu drive. So for that reason, what I decided to do was get rid of my physical install of Windows and turned the 2 hard disk drives into a RAID 0, a striped RAID. But I could only do that with my computer as a software RAID. So I tried to do it as a hardware RAID using my computer's onboard RAID chip, but it would only let me mirror the RAID and not stripe. So I wanted both fast read and write speeds. So I had to do that via Mac OS 10, and it works quite well. So what I did on that RAID 0 was I virtualized Windows on there. So I no longer run Windows as a physical instance, especially since if I was to run it off of the hard disk drive, it would be unbearably slow. I'll just skip that update. But yeah, so I wish I had a way to like benchmark this the improvement in Windows boot performance with the software RAID versus running it off of perhaps my solid state drive, and I may make a video on that in the future, virtualizing both and comparing. But for now, this is just to show. I mean, this isn't really a video showing off anything aside from the fact that I updated to a solid state drive on this computer, and the fact that it's still running the latest Mac OS version perfectly, and I can virtualize Windows and using a striped RAID that's emulated via software on Mac OS 10. Oh shoot, I need the numlock. So, I mean, yeah, that's really all there is to this video, guys. I mean, I'll finish showing Windows boot, but yeah, I mean, the solid state drive runs great. The boot times on this computer are amazing now, and you know, apps load very quickly. You know, all the perks of the solid state drive. I have 8 gigs of RAM in this machine. I still have a crappy video card, so I can't really game or anything. But and of course the CPU is not going to benchmark very high, but this is a very steady desktop machine for web browsing, doing basic word processing, watching YouTube videos, even virtualizing machines. It's like you know, it's just surprising how if you put a little bit of time and effort into a machine, you can make it run. And you know, coming from a 10-year-old machine, this is pretty damn good. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.